you read the email that was sent out as a teaser for this morning? Oh, so many of you. Anyone want to hazard a guess as to what the gift we all have is?
Life itself.
No. Ourselves.
Ourselves, okay. It was a good start. I think many of you could give this message yourselves, but I'm giving it, so you're stuck with me. Okay. One morning, shortly after I turned the age of 19, I went into my grandfather's medicine cabinet and I took a bottle of sleeping pills that had been refilled recently. And I got in my car. I was living with my grandparents at the time. I got in my car and drove to a familiar spot on the beach that I went to with some frequency. And I dumped the pills from a nearly full bottle into my hand and slowly took them all. I awoke 3 days later in the hospital. Commensurate with my consciousness at the time, it was a Catholic hospital. And I don't think, my impression of the nuns was that they didn't separate the sin from the sinner because they treated me abominably, but I was there. And I tell you the story, which is true, because I had forgotten the gift I had been given. When I awoke, I was horrified at what I had attempted to do. And I was glad to be alive. I was remembering the precious gift that life is. I had known this and thought about it actually as a young child. I had thought a lot about being alive and what it meant and the joy of it and the beauty around me and all of that as a child. I had pondered the wonder of life and thought about how truly magnificent it is. I had done that as a child. I thought it was so beautiful and glorious, and that adults tended to forget it, and so I committed myself to always remembering how precious life was and to never ever forget or take it for granted. Basically, I didn't want to grow up. But I had forgotten. So, how did I manage to forget? How did I forget this that I knew so deeply as a child? I've reflected on this question a lot. For myself, I bought into a lesser idea of myself and cultivated a firm belief that I was somehow an inherently flawed human being. That was part of it. I blamed myself for the errors, harshness, and neglect of my parents, and told myself that if I had just been a better person, they would have loved me better. I began to give undue weight and value to how others treated me and thought of me, which of course gave me confirmation, because I drew all kinds of messes to me, gave me confirmation of what I already believed, that I was unlovable and flawed, and that my life was not my friend, that life was not my friend, not good, not peaceful, not joyous. For me, life would never work well. That was my conclusion. So, this is how we forget. We forget. It's easy to forget. It's easy to be distracted. It's easy not to know how wonderful everything is. We forget that we're divinely created, and by that which is the only creative force in the existence. You can call it God, you can call it Vishnu, you can call it nature, you can call it spirit. It does not matter what we call it. It is the thread of beingness. It is the intelligence running through everything. It is the creative power back of everything. And it is us as us. And it is within us. We forget what a miracle our very existence is in this world. And we do forget. We forget that we're innately powerful through our deeply held beliefs and whatever we put our faith in and through the choices we make. We forget what we all did know as children, and I believe all of us did know this, that life is good, that the world is beautiful, and that love is our nature. I knew these things, even living in an emotionally barren family. I knew it. I knew that that I was a loving being in a beautiful world. I did know that, and that life was good and meant to work well. I did know this. I remember saying it out loud to myself as a girl. Someone once said that we never really grow up, we just learn how to behave in public. underneath, in a part of ourselves that we protect viciously sometimes, that everyone has a protected part of themselves that has been unaffected by anything that has ever happened to us. Our job is to get into touch with that. That's the child within us. That's the innocence that really can heal the world. I knew even as a child I understood the value of being a child, as a child, and I vowed never to grow up. I did vow that, because growing up meant forgetting and taking life for granted. That's what I saw around me in adults, and that's what I thought would happen if I grew up. And to some extent, early in my life, it did. How do we forget? We forget by giving away our power to others and things outside of ourselves. By blaming and resenting, we forget. We forget by negating ourselves again and again in fear of conflict or someone else's negative judgment. How many times have we done that? We forget by embracing a less than or not good enough view of ourselves, essentially spitting on God's creation. We forget by allowing our experience out there to dictate what happens out there, to dictate our thinking, feelings, and belief, rather than having faith in life and knowing that our thinking, feelings, and belief create our experience. That's how powerful we are. That's not a secret anymore, by the way. You can see that everywhere. I saw something posted on Facebook yesterday. It said, "Reality is the perception I paint on my life as paint on a canvas." Okay. We do that, we forget. We forget by living at the level of what has happened or didn't happen in our lives. We forget. I'm reminded also of a play from my high school days that I actually was in, Our Town by Thornton Wilder. And in it, one of its main characters, Emily, she dies in the play. The play is a very stark play. It is. There's a stage manager who's actually on stage narrating this story. Usually some of the minimalistic sets, and it's a very good play, actually. And in it she dies, but after her death she's allowed to come back and select a day in which to visit her life before. Just one day to go through it again, as an observer now. To watch herself, basically, and others. So she chooses a day when she turns 10, and she goes back. And she hears her father rustling the paper, reading in the kitchen. She smells the coffee her mother's brewing, and the breakfast that she's cooking, and all of these details that she's now aware of as a visiting person watching her life. So she spends a day observing important events and stage in her life. So she finally becomes overwhelmed. She stays there for a while and watches it unfold, and finally becomes overwhelmed by what she's experiencing and refuses to go on observing. She breaks down sobbing and says, I can't go on. It goes too fast. We don't have time to look at one another. And painfully, she continues. She says, I didn't realize. So all that was going on, and I never noticed. And she asks for one more look, and she bids goodbye to life. She says, goodbye, goodbye world. Goodbye to Mama and Papa. Goodbye to clocks ticking. And Mama's sunflowers, and food, and coffee, and newly ironed dresses, and hot baths. And through sleeping and waking up, oh, Earth, you're too wonderful for anyone to realize you. And finally she asks, do any human beings ever realize life while they live it? Every minute. To which the person doesn't answer, the angel who's brought her. But I think the answer about that is truly no, because every minute I I don't know anyone, including me, who's aware of how great this life is every single minute, even in the dark times. And I've had dark times, and I know people have dark times that are challenging, and things that happen that are really hard to take. However, it doesn't mean that that's just life itself. And there's good in everything that happens if we have eyes to see it and if we look for it. And it may not be good today, but there's good that's unfolding somewhere within it that will show itself if we're open. We are all masterpieces unfolding. We are all magnificent spiritual beings learning to be human. We're learning how to get through humanity. We're already spiritual. We're already spiritual masterpieces. We're just learning how to be human in the best way we can. And we are much more than just a body. Indeed, you are not in your body, but your body is in you. We all have an energy field that can be felt at a fair distance from our physical bodies. I'm increasingly convinced that it can and does cross vast distances, because I have interacted with people as far away as Pakistan, and there's been an exchange where I can tell who that is and they can tell who I am, and it hasn't been in person. Life is such a miracle. It is. Our bodies alone are incredible. Oxygenating our bodies through breathing, digesting and processing food into necessary nutrients, all without our interference. It eliminates waste and is continually regenerating itself through cell regeneration. Whoa. Our senses are impressive instruments for us to experience the world around us. They really are. We are complex in that we both have thought and feelings to color. We have both thought and feelings to color our experience. And we can analyze and reason. We are able to make choices, and we're capable of reflection and self-reflection. Wow! How great is that? We have life, and it is meant to be lived in every present moment. And I mean lived. Not passively, not in self-negation, but lived. And lived well. For all that we have is the present moment in which to experience life. Wayne Dyer said, live your life in such a way that you wouldn't be afraid to sell the family parrot to the town gossip. Good advice. And there's quite a bit from the founder of the discipline to which I belong, religious science, in a book Ernest Holmes wrote called Living the Science of Mind. And it's a book filled with a series of daily affirmations to really visit throughout the year. It's a rather thick volume. And he says, since today is the only day in which we live, and yesterday has forever passed, the change that we need to make within ourselves must be made today. And so we have to live each day as though it were complete and perfect within itself. Ooh. We have to live each day as though all the joy there is in the universe were ours now. We have to live each day as though all the joy we would ever expect to experience were ours now. Wow. We cannot go back over the past and relive it. We cannot make adjustments in the past. We have to make them in the present. It's not going to do us any good to sit around and cry over the past and bemoan our fate, because in the very day in which we are living, we are creating our tomorrow, which, if we do this, will become a series of monotonous repetitions. And I did that. And the question, of course, is, have you had 30 years of experience or 1 year of experience again, and then again, and then again, and then again, and then again? If we stay stuck in the thinking of the past, or the experience of the past, and the related feelings, we will draw to ourselves whatever experiences created that whatever experiences or whatever situations can recreate those feelings in that experience again, even if it's different faces or different people or different whatever. It's not really going to be different. I know I did this for years. Believe me, I'm an expert at this. Ernest Holmes goes on to say, so today is the time in which we should cut loose from the threads of previous experiences, wherever they were negative, and deliberately make up our minds that we shall no longer create our future out of the old past. If we have antagonisms and resentments in the past, today is the only day in which we can change them. There's no point in wallowing in anything less than joy and peace and love. He goes on to say, if we disconnect our paths and find ourselves firmly rooted in God today, whatever you define God to be, in love, in hope, in joyful expectancy, and in grateful acknowledgement, if we learn to harmonize with everything that transpires today, tomorrow will blossom like a new flower in our experience. Whoa. Try it. You'll like it. He says, of course we might think of it another way. When we are weeding our gardens, and we often find certain plants that are choking out the growth of the things we wish to harvest. So we pull them out, throw them aside, cultivating only those plants we want to mature. We do this today. Yesterday is the past and tomorrow has not arrived. So the only time we can weed our garden is today. So what weeds do you need to pull out? What weeds do we need to get rid of to free ourselves up? And we can free ourselves up and lighten up. Oh God, I'm so much lighter than I was. Lord, have mercy. If you could, I wish I had a before picture and an after picture of the inside of me. Because if you'd seen me 40 years ago or so, you would not recognize me today. Because, and I'm not perfect. I have my moments, believe me, I have them. And I have to remind myself again and again and again and again and again. But I can do it. I can remind myself. I can choose. I can get up and say, today is going to be a great day, and make it one. Surely through my attitude and willingness to experience joy. And still more from Ernest Holmes, he says, are we permitting love to blossom in our lives? Of course we want it to, but are we deliberately uprooting everything that denies love? Good question. What if we are confused and distraught and upset and all out of sorts? What if the pressure of the past has appeared to cloud the sunlight of the present? The past is gone and the sun is shining on the other side of the clouds. So let us deliberately resolve to change our thinking today and make up our minds that we have confidence in life. We can trust in life. We can uproot all the unhappy thoughts of the past, all the thoughts of failure and all the doubts and fears, all the little petty animosities and disagreements if we really want to. And we can create our own future today just by carefully guarding our thoughts. But how can we do this unless our faith in life is greater than our fear? Unless hope rises triumphant over despair, or until love cancels out everything that is unlovable. There's a project for you. There's your homework. Cancel out everything that's unlovable within you and see what happens in your life. Wayne Dyer, well, no, I don't know who said this. The opposite of joy is not sorrow, it's unbelief. It is helpful to believe in something greater than ourselves. I believe in the power of love. That's a great religion, love. One thing I've learned is you don't need a parachute to go skydiving. You need a parachute to go skydiving again. That is because what I'm saying there is you need the tools. You need to make the choice to have that parachute, to have that toolbox of ideas of the inner self to go to when you are troubled about something. To know that you can restore the peace to yourself, that you can choose to take a different view of it. I forget who said that if you have the same consciousness that got you into the problem, you can't get out of it. You have to move your thinking up to get out of the problem. to something else. This means that we need the proper tools for living, and we need them all the time. The last time I was here, I did speak about the power of prayer. Developing a daily practice of prayer has the benefit of elevating consciousness, of keeping us at peace, and giving us a place to dwell, if you will. Escalating peace within us and helping maintain our confidence in the divine. In life itself, give it a try, and you'll be amazed at the results. Empowerment lies in our understanding the power of our thinking and our choices. We can be empowered through that. We can choose. We can choose even to, because I've done it. I look at the past and I tell stories about the past, but they have no power to depress me today. They have no power. In fact, I'm grateful for everything I experienced. Everything. Because it led me to who I am today. And there inevitably was good in everything. The good in the incident I told you about was that I regained my willingness to live out of it. That was the good in it for me. It is the preponderance of our thinking, what we believe deeply in, that both attracts our experiences and colors it from our internal palette. It's kind of like the woman and her daughter. The mother had a case of cancer. She had been diagnosed with cancer. She had gone through chemotherapy. She'd lost all of her hair. She was coming out the other side, but she had lost all of her hair, and she was very depressed about it. So her daughter thought she would get her out, and she had been invited to a party, so she invited her mother to go along. So her mother put on a wig and went with her to this party. And at the end of the evening, they're driving home, and the daughter said to the mother, she said, "Wasn't that a great party? Look at who you met, and the food was delicious, wasn't it?" And the woman said, "Yes, all of that's true. But did you notice all those people with all that hair?" It's what we notice. It's what we pay attention to. It is. It is. And one more time from Ernest Holmes, he says, the starting point is at the center of our own being. When we awaken to the divine within us, it will reach out and embrace everything around us. It will discover the same presence in people and in events and in all nature. My task in life is to see God in everything and everyone at every moment. I haven't achieved it every moment yet, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. He says, for God is not separate from what he, she is doing. The divine life is in everyone and everything. That means it's in you. It's in everyone. It's in you. It's in you. It's in you. It's in you. It's in all of us. It's in me. If you live in this frame of mind, in a perpetual state of love, peace and joy, constantly expressing out of your divine nature, you will be evidence of a fact so simple, so fundamental, but so powerful. The simple fact is that God is right where you are. Whatever we deem God to be, there can't be anything else in existence, and it's right where we are then. It's bigger than anyone knows. It's not a being in the sky. It's not. It is a thread of intelligence. It's a creative power. It's a beingness, and it is love itself, everywhere present. I believe this so strongly. So let us let every day be a celebration of life. Look around with new eyes that see clearly the beauty and wonder of life in all of its forms. The wonder of a sunrise or sunset, the dazzling masterpiece of the sky itself ever changing and painting itself anew. You know, we don't have any trouble loving animals. Think if we loved each other consistently in that way, unconditionally, without question, how wonderful a life would be. Let us remember and be grateful for this gift of life that we have, for gratitude is a powerful magnet for good. We are an expression not only of the life, but of that which has given us this life. We're an expression of the creative power itself. Let us remember, let us rejoice and revel in it. And for God's sake, let it be a dance. Thank you very much.